I think our American society is suffering from fragmentation. And we need to recapture a great truth that we are together, that we are united by something far greater than what fragments us. I begin with a theological understanding that men and women are made in the image and likeness of God. It's the Imago Dei. And so we have this common bond, and this is greater than mankind being considered an accident, or we evolved from a single-celled organism to a multi-celled organism, from an animal, and now to the state that we are today. So we have a common bond, a common hood, because we are tied together on the basis of a divine, transcendent, supreme person. We have a supreme personality who has shaped every one of us. But what happens in reality is we live fragmented lives. Now, this fragmentation occurred because of sin, because of disobedience, because of man's unwillingness to seize and grab hold of a full life. And so because of man's decision, our lives are fragmented. It's fragmented economically, and so we have different ideas and stereotypes about those who have a lot of money and those who have little to no money. It's fragmented socially. So we can look at ethnicity. We can look at gender. We can look at sexual orientation, and we're fragmented on those different areas. And we can be fragmented nationally as countries manipulate one another and seek to take advantage of one another. And so this fragmentation has consequences, obviously. And it has consequences where we have a distrust of one another. It's consequences to having a lack of mercy and compassion. But if we would just have the imagination to recover what it would look like to view one another as image bearers of God. And so what I imagine is a people who cross economic, social, and national boundaries, these fragmentations, in order to discern that I have a brother and sister in this other individual. For instance, that when we use love and compassion to push past the fragmented boundaries of economics, that we would see God in the face of the poor. But that we would also see God in the face of the wealthy. Socially, what would it look like if we push past the boundaries of ethnicity and gender and sexual orientation and all these other fragmented distinctions, and we just discern this man, this woman, this child is made in the image and likeness of God. And on discerning that, what would love and compassion and mercy look like? And nationally, what would it look like if countries pursued one another in diplomacy and in trade, beginning first with that this person across the table from me is made in the image and likeness of God. And so the Eucharist, the Lord's table, the communion, is helpful in us discerning men and women who are made in the image and likeness of God. I believe and have seen and learned that when God became a man, he He took on flesh. He showed us what it is to be full human beings, what it looks like for an imago Dei to pursue love and compassion, not only for God, but for his or her neighbor. But secondly, that when I take hold of bread and when drink out of this cup, that at that very moment, it is a reminder and a celebration. As I look to my left, as I look to my right, I have brothers and sisters who are made in the image and likeness of God, who have different economics than me or socially different than me and different national heritage. At that very moment, as we sit around the table, that this bread and this cup unites us together, that these fragmented lives disappear. And so I think if we can just begin to imagine, and in imagination live out in reality, that who I sit across the table from is made in the image and likeness of God. That person who's standing out on the street corner, who's in need of housing or a couple of bucks, is made in the image and likeness of God. That this diplomat, this politician, whether they're in the United States or in Germany, that he or she is made in the image and likeness of God. And with love and compassion, with grace and mercy, imagine what our world could be like if we discern this powerful and majestic truth. Something to think about.